You found the recipe, bought the best ingredients, and spent long hours cooking. And then you set the table and people arrive. And then there's a special moment. It's an exciting moment of truth. What will be the people's reaction when they take the first bite? The most fascinating thing about being a designer is to observe what you created in the hands of the users. And it's a risky moment, you know. It's somehow scary for the designer. And especially if you're designing for a culture that is not familiar to yours, then the people's reactions and their perspectives might be so different. We learn a lot about human-centered design in design schools. That means including the users as much as possible, using different techniques throughout the design process. But it wasn't until my fieldwork experience that I truly understood the value of this. I've been running a design project in Uganda. It's a baby carrier project together with a dedicated multidisciplinary team. We designed a low-cost ergonomic baby carrier called Happy Baby for both mothers and fathers and for local production. So we included the local communities in Uganda, and we first started with a trip there. And we invited both mothers and fathers and midwives to our meetings, and we questioned how, when, and why they carried their babies. So baby carrying was not really an issue before. And when people shared their experiences, they also showed a lot of concerns. Well, we could both learn about the benefits and the challenges they had. And to start with, being in close contact with your baby all day is the best method you can practice to have a healthy attachment. But on the other hand, for a mother who is active all day long with a baby on the back, the carrier puts a lot of pressure on the chest, affecting the breast milk. The carrier doesn't support the baby's neck properly, hanging the baby's neck low. And the knots often get loose, hanging the baby low, and in some cases even fall out. And for some reason, you can only see women carrying these babies. So we aimed to keep the benefits of baby carrying and at the same time solve some of these problems so we could encourage more parents to be involved in childcare. The way we communicated with the communities was through designing a number of different prototypes. So people could, both mothers and fathers especially, could try on these different prototypes. They could also use in daily life and give us very valuable feedback. One incident was that among these prototypes, we intentionally included a carrier which looked like the traditional way of baby carrying. And this turned out to be the only carrier that no father was willing to try on, because they associated this wrap with womanhood. I mean, it was almost like a man putting on a woman's dress. And when we were searching about the aesthetic concerns of people, cultural beliefs were again strong. They didn't want to put on a red carrier because they thought that red attracted lightning, or they believed that. And on the other hand, there was local production. In order to produce something locally, we couldn't use any accessories, such as buckles or zippers, because we weren't really able to access them in the remote settings. So in the end, with over 100 people's involvement, we designed Happy Baby Carrier to be both produced and implemented. And then as designers, as the design team, we said, what now? Our role was to design. And in design processes, it's a bit similar to this sport called curling. We take a design brief, and we move it through the different creative phases: research, prototyping, testing, refining. And once it's in the market, the designers usually step out, just like the sweepers in the curling game. And when the design is in use, we are not there anymore, we are not present. But actually, the designs continue to evolve in the hands of the users. Think of a pencil. It's an instrument designed to write and draw with. But do we only use a pencil for this purpose? No, we also tie our hair with it. So in this case, There's a lot to learn from what happens when the design is continued to be used by the people. And with Happy Baby project, it's especially important if you're aiming to create a positive social impact on the communities. So we went back to a local community in Uganda, one of the places we did the research before. It's called Kullanıcıları town. And we started a pilot implementation. So one of the things we did was to engage the midwives and all the healthcare workers to spread the benefits of ergonomic baby carrying. Another thing we did was to continue our community meetings, to continue talking about baby carrying and letting people try on the ergonomic baby carriers. And of course, we had to train the women to become the entrepreneurs of Happy Baby. So there it was. Finally, we could walk out on the street and see people walking by with the carrier. And it was an amazing feeling because some months before, we were on the sewing machine designing this product. So we realized that when we were living in the community and we had the chance to observe the people, we saw that, okay, some people not only carried their babies with the carrier, but they also put the baby on the ground when they were tired, and they covered the baby with the carrier, and they used it as a baby blanket. And on the other hand, I remember one day in the market seeing a mother using the carrier inside out. And your first reaction to this is you want to correct this behavior. But when I approached the baby, I saw that it was carried just fine. I mean, it's a mother taking care of a baby, so it was just fine. And as a design team, our role was actually to learn from people's behaviors. An instant where we learned a new possible usage of Happy Baby was when a young mother came with her low-weight twins. These babies were much smaller than the ones that participated in our design process, and when they had the carrier, we truly felt the heavy responsibility of these lives. So a brief information now, this is the carrier. And in order to carry newborns, what you do is you fold your carrier one time and wear it higher. So this way, the space in the carrier is smaller. And we call it make your carrier small when your baby is newborn. And in the case of the low-weight twins, when we visited in their home, this is the grandmother, the carrier was folded twice to carry the very, very, very small babies. And this was something that, as designers, we never anticipated while designing. And it worked perfectly. In the hands of the users, a new value was created. And of course, baby carrying had a huge impact on the development of low-weight babies, whose essential need is the skin-to-skin contact. One purpose of Happy Baby was by including the fathers in the design process and designing something which they also prefer to use was to actually improve their involvement in childcare. And by allowing them to have a skin-to-skin contact and a healthy attachment with their babies, we actually aim to create very long-term benefits, especially on reducing gender stereotypes. And this is Fred and his wife, Oliver. They live in a village called Ndolva. And in living in a culture where it is the mother's responsibility to take care of children, Fred actually never had a one-to-one contact with their youngest kid, a 3-week-old girl. And when he tried the baby carrier on for the first time, it was amazing. The crying baby stopped crying, looked at his face with curiosity, and fell asleep. And as a design team, we couldn't wait to hear Fred's experiences. What was his motivation? How did he put on the carrier? When did he put on the carrier? What was his challenges? What could we improve on the carrier to fit his needs? And here is Fred.
Akati amakabiri obiri omukya sinda baby kali yeri naye abana boli sibasitula.
So when we asked Fred, what are your challenges with the baby carrier? And the response we were waiting to hear was, oh, maybe, this is long, this is short, I want to tie it like this and that. But what he said was, oh, my biggest challenge is I have a second wife in the other village who started to become jealous because she thinks that I love this family more. So he said, oh, maybe I have to buy a second carrier for them. And it was perfect to hear that answer. So monitoring the users after the design process is very important to actually estimate what impact you might create with a project. And coming back to the meal that you prepared, no matter how many hours you put on creating a unique taste, there will still be some people who will want to add more salt. There will still be some people who will separate the onions, and there will still be some people who want to put some ketchup on your food. And, well, not yet. There is a gold mine in the moment when the users put on a product or they start to use a service. And observing their behaviors, their adaptations, and their reactions is very valuable and inspiring to take ideas forward. Oops. Let's watch it. Music!
Olha o menino, ui, ui, ui. Olha o menino, ui. Olha o menino, ui, ui, ui. Olha o menino, ui. Olha o menino, ui, ui. Olha o menino, ui. Olha o menino, ui, ui. Olha o menino, ui. Olha o menino, ui, ui. Olha o menino.